We are live with the Short-Term Rental Pros podcast. Today, I'm super excited to be with a friend I met about 3-4 months ago at this point.
STR WealthCon, yeah, man. Bumped into
Yes,
each other
sir.
and got to know each other a little bit. So yeah.
Yes, sir. Down in Nashville, but that's actually not Blake's favorite part of Tennessee. He's got a boutique hotel that he's standing up right now while I just learned actually prior to going live that he is finishing up his armed service. What did you say, 9 days from now?
9 days. Yep. It's coming.
Well, first of all, congratulations on that front. So super excited that we're talking to you now at the beginning of this new chapter in your life. But yeah, first of all, Blake, tell us about, the chapters leading up to now. Well, how'd you, where are you from? What got you going in this game? And yeah, man, what do you do?
Yeah, so from Indiana originally, went into the Air Force. So left home at 18, went to the Air Force Academy on a football scholarship, and majored in management there. It's like business classes because I wanted to do something entrepreneurship. I didn't know what it was going to be. And on one of those trips, going to Barnes and Noble, because big reader, would go there pretty frequently, found that little purple Bible, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, oh man, this is what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be real estate, because I was figuring out what business it was going to be. And after I got done playing football my senior year, I had all this time left, like 6 hours a day, where I wasn't on the practice field or in the weight room, in the film room, not spending all that time playing football anymore. So I was like, I'm going to throw this all into real estate. I need something to take all this energy away from me. And then dove deep into it, bought our first house with a VA loan on our first duty station, and closed 3 deals our first 3 months, all different zero down strategies, and low down strategies, I guess. So we did
VA loan. About that VA loan. Yeah.
Yeah, 0%, man. If you are listening to this and you have served in the military, you're currently in the military, and you haven't used the VA loan, you absolutely need to do it. Buy something that has multiple units. You can buy 1 to 4 units. It's 0% down, house hacked, and get started just like I did.
Yeah, exactly. And that's my older brother, who I mentioned, is in the armed service and who actually just deployed out to the Middle East. But yeah, he has 2 properties via VA loan. First one being a duplex house hack. So
yeah, I love it. We have 2 as well, which is a misconception that you can't use the VA loan more than once. You absolutely can. So use it again. You can refi and use it again. Like, there's so many different ways that you can maximize that loan.
Just got to know the inner workings. So
that's right.
So you use the VA loan, got your first few properties while serving. How long have you been in the Air Force, by the way?
5 years. Yep. So I bought my first house like a week before I reported to my first duty station.
Does that mean we're like the same age? I graduated college in 2019. So
yep.
Did you? So okay, we're the same age. Okay, cool. Yep. Yeah.
So how often do you get the stuff of, oh man, you're so young and you're doing this? It's like I feel like when you are in it, probably as much as we both are, it's like I feel like I've been doing it for a decade plus,
But, I look at this and I'm like, damn, maybe I got a little bit more of a widow's peak.
I know. It's like if I could grow any version of a beard, could maybe help my chances with, I don't know, raising capital or having brokers take me a little bit more seriously sometimes. But usually, keep it off the radar.
I do think one of the things that I talk about is like cool thing about this space is it hasn't been around for 50 years. So
very true. A lot of the people are younger.
Yeah, just because frankly, like it's crazy to me that I'm like a veteran. I'm a veteran in this.
It's weird to think, right? Yeah, we've been doing it since 2019 before probably the vast majority of people doing STRs.
Exactly.
Today we're doing it, so yeah.
So it's like I've got STR gray hairs where, but that's cool because it's like there's not a lot of industries you can walk into that are like massive. I mean, there's 1.6 or between 1 and 2 million short-term rentals in the United States. There's, an exploding amount of them around the world. So it's big. It is a big industry. It is growing. And yeah, you can be like, the most knowledgeable and the best at it in your 20s, which is cool.
Yeah.
Not a lot of things that's the case. Like, and also being young is like an advantage. So you got those first 2 properties, you were creative, used the VA loan, and then how'd you further scale from there? Or have you further scaled?
So it wasn't all short-term rentals from the beginning. That was always kind of the staple of what we were doing. And I didn't even really know. It's like that first VA loan, we actually cash flowed that house and lived in it for free. So I was like, dude, like we're living in this house for free, right? And we have this mother-in-law suite that's paying for it. Why don't we go buy more houses with guest houses. So it's exactly what we did, because like the main house would be essentially all cash flow minus the cleaning costs and like incremental, utility costs. So we kind of like built this little niche in the beginning of buying houses with guest houses. I think we bought 5 or 6 in the first year. And all but one were short-term rentals. One was a long-term rental, because the top bottom duplex, and all the others were like side by side or detached. And I was like, guests on top of each other. We'll just make a long-term rental.
And
Um,
not to cut you up here, guys. If I didn't say this initially, we're going to talk boutique hotels today. I know that's like a sexy trending topic. So right
yeah,
now we're
we're
talking house
getting there.
hacks
These small
and
multifamilies
duplexes.
were the jump
Yeah,
to it.
yeah. But that's where we're leading. We want to tell people, that
Yeah.
that's where we're going to. So don't discount this house hack strategy right now, because this is the
Yeah.
foundation.
Part of the journey, yeah. I mean, I think without having the small multi-unit background of multifamily, right? Because we're buying multiple units, furnishing multiple units, and had multiple guests on each property. So we got exposed to it early, right? And then we had a portfolio of them. I think we had like 11 units in that first year. Surpassed my W-2 with the cash flow from the real estate. So I was like, dude, this is awesome. We need to like set higher goals and do bigger deals. So that got me into the commercial real estate space. We're at a syndicated an apartment complex. Learned how to raise money, learned how to talk to investors, learned how to underwrite commercial deals, just learned how commercial real estate worked, right, versus residential real estate. And then that's where it's like, all right, now I've got these 2 skills with commercial real estate and managing Airbnbs, buying, renovating, operating them. And at the time I wanted to do more multifamily, but it was during COVID where all this stimulus money was going into the market. Cap rates were compressing. I was like, commercial real estate, multifamily specifically, is really tough for a smaller investor to be competitive. It was just like the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. So that was the pivot point to then looking into hospitality assets and then looking how to maximize those. And I was down in the panhandle of Florida market. Great STR market, or at least at the time. Now it's pretty oversaturated, but at the time, amazing STR market. And we picked up some pretty cheap, million and under properties right across from the beach, 15 and 18 units.
Oh
And
wow.
those are the
That's
ones that,
crazy.
that kind of rolled, plus an 8 unit in Fort Walton Beach that I guess was the first one that I bought, but not the first one that was live and open to guests. So did well in the panhandle. And my partner at the time was in California, and the Tahoe market was close to him. And I think he had a chip on his shoulder. He's like, Blake's bringing all these deals. I got to go find something. I was like, do it, get us another one. And he found the first one in Tahoe. We jumped on that and then built a little foothold in the Tahoe market and had another one come to me through my network. So within the first 13 months, we had 5 boutique hotel deals.
Wow. Okay. And this is what, 2022 to
This
2023?
was like the turn of like 2020 into 21. So I think we
2020 to
closed on like
2021.
February 1st of 2021 on the first one. And then we closed the last of that 5 like in March of 22. So we spent like 2 full years and did renovations on 5 different hotels in 3 different markets, which was crazy, all while active duty with a busier job than what I'm in now. And I mean, I learned everything just by trial and error going through it, right? Because nobody was really doing boutique hotels in 2021. You probably saw it at STR WealthCon, just the level of interest in the market and the
Oh
people
yeah,
that
it's
bought
hot.
hotels just
Yeah.
in the last year. Since last, I mean, there's like, who's in boutique hotels? And like 6 people raised their hand. And now it's like 100 plus just in the breakout
Yeah.
session, more, in the room that we're doing it. So just in the last year, it's gained a lot of traction. But there's nobody doing it. So just had to learn by, I guess, trial and error and kind of leveraging that experience from what I'd done on the residential side. And you can absolutely do that, but there's easier ways I've learned.
Yeah, and I feel like I kind of joke about how, well, I don't joke. I say that boutique hotels is the natural next step for a
Yep.
lot of short-term rental operators. Maybe you do 3, 4, or 5 houses, and you're like, all right, I've done houses. What's next? I've got to do something. I think there's like a constant. If you go online, it's level up. You got to level up what you're doing. You got to do bigger. So
Yep.
boutique hotels is really that natural next step. B, obviously talk about regulations. There's, if places are cracking down, how do you get around that? Commercially zoned
Yep.
hotels. And I think kind of with these properties, how did you put that like short-term rental, like, were these multifamily buildings, or were they like motels? Like, what were they initially? And then what'd you turn them into?
So they were all zoned like hospitality, hotel, motel. Out of the initial tranche, there was a multifamily that I converted into short-term rentals. It had the zoning
Appropriate
use.
zoning. Yep.
Yeah, it had the appropriate zoning to also operate it as a multifamily, or excuse me, from multifamily to like a hotel use and operate them as short-term rentals. The other ones were zoned as hotels and motels. The one was operated as a long-term rental, so did have to get some tenants out, but the rest were either like week to week, short term, nightly rentals across from the beach or in the Tahoe market. So just kind of a mix, but yeah, I think taking the experience of operating the short-term rentals, like I was in the panhandle of Florida in Panama City Beach, where the regulation is pretty open. Like now, I think just now you have to like do um, registration requirements and different fire code things that you have to do, like post out of riptides and different things like that as of
Sure.
2024. But in 2019, there was really none of that. And that's
Back in the
why
olden days of 2020,
yeah, that's
2019.
why there's so many more listings in that market now. Like we kind of got hit with that before the sale at the beginning of 2023. Like that Airbnb bust year was very real because so many people bought STRs from like 22 to 23, and listing supply went up a bunch. But in other markets like Tahoe, you mentioned the regulation. We bought, and because we were commercially zoned, they had regulation that took off like 1,000 listings. Measure T just wiped out a lot of the residential short-term rentals in the Lake Tahoe or South Lake specifically in South Lake Tahoe. But because we're commercially zoned, that helped us because it didn't affect us at all. And all that
Yeah.
demand, people are still going to want to go to Lake Tahoe for the skiing and for the lake in the summer, the hiking, everything that Tahoe has to offer. So demand didn't slow down at all, but the listing supply went down, and that helped us. We beat our pro forma on that deal by a pretty good margin. I was like, that's when it became pretty apparent. I was like, I like these hotels
Regulate.
because of the regulation. At the beginning, we're just buying because they're great deals, but then you start to see, through the operations, all the benefits of, you're protected because you're zoned as a hotel or a motel, whatever, for nightly use. So when all that regulation happens, it's for residentially zoned areas to protect housing, to protect, the neighborhoods that people live in. But if you're commercially zoned, you got the green light.
I actually read a case study on South Lake Tahoe and what happened when they created this zoning. And essentially, I'm not going to, there was all these findings, but the main takeaway or the reality of the situation was it was just rich people bought second homes they didn't stay in. That was it.
Yeah,
They got
pretty much.
they got a marginally, it was like they got a marginally better deal on second homes that they still don't like, instead of renting out to people, they just don't stay in.
Yep. And yeah, the appreciation of that market is still crazy, but you still like today, a normal STR investor isn't going to go in Tahoe and buy a $1.2 million home and
Anyways, yeah,
be able to cash flow on or
they
have
want to go in
any
anyways.
significant
Yeah,
return.
that's the thing that's
But
stupid
the
is like they
hotels on
wouldn't
the
go
other
in.
side,
Yeah,
different ball game, different buyer pool for sure. So there's a lot less competition, and you can get into deals for like better unit economics. Like the example I was given for the new one in Tennessee, like we bought it at 53,000 per unit, like per door, and each unit will generate about 30,000 per year in revenue. So like
wow,
equate that to a
that's like
house, right? Like imagine buying
60%
a house for
revenue growth.
100,000 and you're
Hmm.
doing 80,000 a year in revenue. Like it's great unit economics. And that's the thing, like you see in these markets where it's too expensive to buy homes, you can find these older, underutilized hospitality assets, put some love into them, renovate them, turn them into boutique hotels, and you have the high demand and high rates of what brings people to that market. So I think it's a great strategy, man. I'm super fired up about what the next year is going to look like for boutique hotels.
Yeah. So how do people find these boutique hotels? These, if you're telling me, because
Yeah.
generally for a house, I'm looking at 20%. Feel like generally speaking is kind of the industry standard. If you buy a house that makes 500K, you want it to make
Yep.
100K per year. You're saying that the unit economics on a hotel deal, should it be, a 50 or something you buy for 50K makes 30K? Is that kind of the high level?
I would say mine's a really good deal, but you can definitely find deals like that. I think my average is probably like in the 33 to 50% range of like
Mm,
revenue to purchase price.
per door. Well, I mean, ultimately it's the same thing. You just sum them
Yeah,
all
yeah,
up.
exactly. You just extrapolate it out. So where you find these deals is, I would say it's like better than, if anybody listening is familiar with commercial multifamily and how hard it's
Mhm.
become to find like a commercial multifamily deal. The debt for them is terrible right now. There's a lot of assets being, lost back to the bank, and cap
Mhm.
rates are so low, and interest rates are so high that other people can't sell at the price. So there's not a lot of trading volume. But in the hotel space,
Mhm.
in multifamily, kind of go back to the example, a lot of those are owned by investors from like 2017, 2018 up until 21, 22. A lot of the mom and pop operators got purchased out by investors because they got so much demand into the investor side of that asset class. But in boutique hotels, most of them are owned by like the mom and pop operator type people. So you can go directly to the seller. Like we've got seller financing and worked directly with the seller on
Okay.
three out of the 6 deals that I've done,
We
hotel
we
deals.
talking we talking silver tsunami?
What's the silver tsunami?
Essentially, there's, $90 trillion transfer of wealth coming where,
Oh, yeah, silver hair.
65-year-olds and older
Yeah,
own,
the
like,
baby
everything.
boomer retiring. Yeah, I haven't
Is
heard
that is that
that
kind of the
term.
people you've been, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. Like I would say
engaging with
our demographic is probably in the 55 to 60 range
in
that's
terms
owned
of
the
the owner?
property. Yeah, the owner is like 55 to 60, has owned the property for like 3 up to like 18 years. They manage and do everything themselves. I don't think the last deal I bought was just because it was so big was the first one that they actually had staff. The rest of the owners were doing everything themselves. So, they're stuck in the business. They don't, have the like the eye for the design. They don't know the operations. They don't know the marketing side of making these, really good assets. And because they, bought them years prior when debt was, great, they've got a lot of equity, and you can get into seller financing really easy. So that's one of the cool things about it is, you don't have to go on the market and, compete with everybody else. You can go directly to the seller, negotiate in seller financing, get really good deals for these, and really great financing too, right? If you can get seller financing at 4 or 5% compared to the industry average in the commercial space of like 7 to 9, you're making a really good spread there. But I think a lot of times as well, like when you're finding deals, a lot of even hotel deals trade with brokers. So the more relationships that you can make through networking, going to events, cold calling, picking up the phone, actually calling brokers and saying, hey, my name is Blake. I guess you wouldn't say what I would say. I bought 6 hotels. I'm looking for my 7th, kind of thing.
I'll say what you say. "Hey, I'm Blake. I've bought 6 hotels." Everyone write down this script. It's a win
You
for
guys should copy
everybody.
after me. Be like, I heard this guy. This is what I should say. No, but you call and be like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Something that's 20 units or under, $2 million or under, that is value add in this kind of location, and preferably like a seller that is open to, a creative option. If not, we can get debt for it, kind of thing. So like the more you can call brokers, you get better at doing that, and you'll get good deal flow from them. But you can also generate your own leads as well.
Got it. So when you say generate your own leads, am I just finding some motels? I mean, we'll call them motels. I think there's a little bit of I, this is kind of more so that I said earlier that like a joke
Yeah.
that I do with people when we talk about boutique hotels is that effectively just glorified motels.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
taking a motel and rebranding it as a boutique hotel. So
Yeah.
are we calling motels? Is that kind of what we're doing and seeing if the owner picks
Essentially,
up the
yeah. I
phone?
mean, you can use, a service like PropStream or List Source and pull a list of all of the hotels in your, zip code or city or area that you're looking for. And a lot of times you're going to have a pretty small list. Like in our markets of, Tahoe and Panama City Beach, and even more so like our sub market in the Smokies, there's like 100 or less properties. So you're not working with a big list, right? You can be very intentional with calling those people, potentially going to the property. And a lot of these are mom and pop operators. So if you go and talk to the person at the front office that's running the show, it's probably the owner, or ask, if they're the owner, to speak to the owner, or driving for dollars. So like any way you do it, you need to find your list, get it skip traced, right? I mean, we're the real estate investors on the show. A lot of STR people might not be into skip tracing and finding their own deals, but um, uh, like skip trace is essentially when you get a list of your leads, and then you're going to go get their information from, a skip trace service. It'll give you several different phone numbers, the address, um, and potentially like emails as well, which are harder to get good emails for owners because there's so many junk ones out there. But you can get the list and mail them. You can get the numbers and call them. You can go to the properties yourself and talk to the owners. I've done all of them, and all of them have led to deals. So it just depends on what you is the best use for your time, or like what you feel more comfortable doing. I'd say probably direct mail is the lowest barrier to entry, um, because most people don't want to pick up the phone.
So you build a relationship with these owners. What you go there in person, you call them, you tell them, hey, what do you like? How do you? I don't want to say convince them to sell to you, but like, let's say I'm an owner and you've just called me. I've got I don't know, 15 unit. I'm gonna call it a motel. You can call it a boutique hotel, but the way I think about it is I own a motel. Let's say it's
We'll
in.
call them glorified boutique hotels. How about that one?
All
Somewhere in the
right.
middle.
Well, no, I'll call it. I'm the owner right now, so you're the one with the vision. You're the one who's turning it into
Gotcha.
a boutique hotel. I just happen to own a motel, 15 unit motel. What do you? I know you said your script earlier, but like, what are you trying to like? What are the pain points that you're going to help me solve for by taking over this property for me?
Yeah, good question. It's so dependent on the seller, but this is the stuff I love doing. I get to talk to sellers and negotiate all day. But a lot of it's just questions. I mean, it kind of starts with, "Hey, this is my name. I'm looking for something to buy in this area, or we've got some other properties. We're looking to buy something like this and kind of scale up our portfolio and kind of get the conversation rolling to at least where they know what your intent is, right? But you don't ask like, "Hey, would you want to sell the property?" Like, "Hey, we're looking for something like this. Like, would you ever consider selling, or have you thought about selling? Like, do you have a retirement plan?" Like, there's a lot of different questions you could ask. But then as the conversation starts going, it's a lot of targeted questions to kind of get like you said, figure out the pain point. Like, what is it that they are trying to solve if they do express interest to sell and you guys are moving forward to that next step? Because a lot of times you'll just ask me like, "No, I don't want to sell. We're doing good." But for me, those are always follow-ups. Like, I'll hit them in 3 months, or I'll send them another mail, or I'll call them and check in on them, and just like build that relationship, because it doesn't always happen at one time.
Tell them Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Just
Exactly. I've had a guy literally, I think the last time I messaged him was Happy New Year. I think he actually messaged me Happy New Year this time.
wow,
But we just
look at
had
that.
that going back and forth for like 3 years on this fourplex in Panama City Beach. I'm like, I'm not even buying fourplexes anymore, but I'm just going to keep texting him every holiday, because at some point he's going to think of me first. And there's another hotel owner that I've been talking to since we bought one from him in 2021. So it's been like 3 years running. And the last time I talked to him was in the fall, and we're still like throwing back terms and getting closer, and getting his expectations down a little bit more. But it's when you're having these conversations, it's about asking the questions kind of like in a indirect way to find out what it is they're trying to solve by selling the property. Like, are they ready to retire? Are they trying to, sell the property and go live RV life and do, the whole boomer thing of bouncing around to campgrounds? Are they trying to move closer to their kids or their grandkids? Are they just sick and tired of the operations, right? Like, each one of those answers gives you a little bit different path that you can go down. Like, maybe it's just they're sick of the operations. Like, awesome. What if I could still pay you for this deal, but you don't have to operate it, right? Leads into seller financing. What, like, do you still, is cash flow important for you? Is not paying taxes when you sell the property important to you? Is getting, your purchase price and 30 days on the dot most important to you? So you can kind of start to decipher whether price or terms is more important. And that's what led to, half of my deals being seller finance. Is just multiple conversations, building a relationship, building rapport, and asking questions like that to reveal that seller financing, one, is on the table, and then two, the terms around that work for them and work for me.
So of these, and I think you mentioned in Nashville. So first of all, Blake and I met. We were at the Somerlet Design booth, where
Yep.
I've recently the newest property I've launched with them. They helped with, or with them.
They
The
crushed,
newest
dude.
property I
Awesome
launched. Yep,
design.
yep. They're great. So then they helped you on your. They are currently helping you, or because
They
I think
are. Yeah, they're doing the 130 units. They've got a tall task ahead of them, but
I'm sure
the
that's
designs look
quite an
awesome.
engagement. Yeah, 100. I can only imagine
Yeah.
130.
Gonna be
'cause
keeping them busy for the next 6 months.
yeah, because they do everything. Like I'm assuming not all of them are the same exact design. They're keeping things fresh.
Yep. Yeah, it'll be
So
like alternating designs. Like the big items will stay consistent across the property to keep like that common thread and also like purchase in more bulk to get the cost savings there. But then we'll have different, texture walls or paint colors,
wallpaper,
splash
yeah.
walls, art, that kind of stuff to make each different building of over the 8 different buildings pop so that, everything fits in this integrated design, but also you get something unique if you come stay with us and then come back again. So I think that'll be a really cool aspect that I haven't seen any other hotels do because they're all like plain, across the board. But if we're trying to appeal to, that 50 plus community who's coming to the park, they like that slower side of the Smokies, which is what Townsend is. They call it the peaceful side of the Smokies. That's where a lot of the older people come to, ride bikes or walk along the walkway into the national park and go hiking. And then a lot of families come there as well because it's cheaper and they can get more bang for their buck and still be close to Gatlinburg to go do the touristy stuff. So we want to be able to appeal to those multiple different demographics, but also keep like a design thread that is representative of the, I guess, what makes the Smokies the Smokies.
And I think you mentioned, or maybe it was, we follow each other on socials now. Uh, Pickleball court. You adding a pickleball court to the?
We are adding a pickleball court. Yep,
I didn't make
pickleball,
that
putt
up. Good.
putt, outdoor movie theater, a big pavilion with outdoor kitchen, a pool bar. Like it's gonna be sick when it's done.
What, was there previously a pool?
There's 3 pools on site.
Oh
One
wow.
of them indoor. So we're like spreading these amenities over the 10 acres so we have like multiple gathering areas for the groups because group business is a big part of the revenue stream there. And we have the wedding and event venue. So like, they come to a 100-person wedding, 50 people stay in the rooms. They're all going to want to get together after the wedding. So we're creating different spaces around the property like that for
And
people.
what, if you don't mind me asking, what, like, are you? I'm assuming you think with this renovation, I mean, you wouldn't be doing it otherwise. How, like, what was the unit economics before, and then what are these upgrades and these new amenities that you're adding? How much do you think they can elevate the top line?
Yeah, so we should be going like the revenue when we purchased it was 1.6 million. We should hit somewhere in between 2.4 and 2.6 this year, and we'll be like phasing up through the renovation, and also phasing up the wedding and events as well because those book 6 to 12 months in advance. So we missed a lot of the 2024 weddings, but we're getting them booked for next year now. So in 2025 we'll do closer to 4 million in revenue up to our like kind of peak of once
Wow.
we're fully stabilized, ramp up periods done, we should be in like the 4.2 to 4.5 range of top line revenue.
And what how much did the renovations and these new amenities cost?
I believe altogether renovations were like 2.25 million and the design is like 1.15 million. So 3.3 altogether.
Got it.
And
So
we're just
3.3.
3.4.
So you're saying 1.6 should bring you to, let's just call it 4, which you said, is a little bit more than that. So that's 2.4 mil more of revenue. So
Yep,
essentially spending 3 gets you 2 per year,
per
essentially.
year.
Which is like a
Yep.
pretty crazy, if you look at that again, we're just kind of doing
Yeah.
that revenue to purchase price or revenue to
Yeah.
renovation
And the
multiply.
cool part about this is because it's commercial real estate, it's not
Yep,
a
yep,
single
yep.
family
I
house
wanted
that's
to get into.
valued by the
Yep.
comps of other sales in the area. The
And that is
NOI is going to be going up $1 million.
awesome.
So by, I mean,
And you apply
conservatively
what?
at a
What would you
10
say?
cap,
Yep, a 10,
conservatively,
10,
super
10.
conservatively at 10
Yeah,
cap,
10,
we're at
10
$10 million
multiplier.
of value to this property over the next 2 to 3 years.
So yeah, by adding, so bought at 1.6 and essentially it's going to be valued at 11.6 by this $1 million increase in NOI. Is that math correct?
No, we purchased at 7 million.
Or 7? Wait, what did I say? What did I say? 1, 2? What
The
did I do? Right?
income was
Oh,
1.6. Yeah,
oh,
so we purchased at
1.6.
7,
Sorry,
should be worth
sorry.
like 17.
Yeah, I was like, that just seems a little too good to be true. Okay,
Yeah.
so you purchased at 7.6,
Yep.
and now you're taking, what was the NOI before?
I think 680,000, something like
So
that.
you are about tripling the NOI. So 600. So if you bought it at 7 mil and it was 600 in NOI, that means you bought it at like a not 9, 10 cap or something.
Yeah, about a
Um,
10 cap.
yeah, 10 cap. And then now that it's going to do 1.6, if you keep it at that 10 cap, it is now a $16 million. Is my math off here? It's a $16 million hotel.
Yeah, or actually, no, I will be like 1.7, so that's where the 17 comes from. But
Yeah,
yeah, we're adding, just
17.
over $1 million in revenue.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah, or excuse me, in NOI. So yeah, $10 million
so that
value add with a $3 million expenditure to get there, and we're making that much more every single year. And the cool thing is, like, it's a big burr, so we're going to be able to refinance in
35.
3 years
Mhm.
once it's fully stabilized, return all the investor capital, so they have no principal left in the deal, but they continue to pump out 14% cash on cash a year every single year and have no money left in the deal. So
And that's where I'm
this
assuming
is
Blake gets his payday.
yep, that's
Is
right.
once you return the investors their money first, and then that's when if you're doing
On the
syndicate.
GP side, yeah, but the other side is that's just the prop co. Then you've got the opco as well, the management company, which my
Sure.
management company also runs the deal. So there's another, 10% of that top line that goes to the management company. So as the investor on these deals, there's a lot of money to be made. You just got to be ready for that, 2 to 3 year time frame to
Sure.
purchase, renovate, stabilize, refi, or and/or sell if you're just trying to flip it. But yeah, I mean, compare that to buying the 2, 3, 4 STRs where maybe you make 100 grand over a couple years on each deal. Like, you can make a lot more than that with hotels.
Yep, and that is definitely why, if you guys, Isaac French podcast was a really good one. I don't know, are you familiar with Isaac? And he did
Live Oak, yeah.
yep, Live Oak. He spent 2 mil and created 7 mil value with 7 500 square foot Scandinavian A-frames on
Wow,
a
man. That is one of the next kind of projects I want to do. Live Oak is kind of the man, it's such a good example of the experiential type stay.
Mhm.
That's a commercial property that trades based on, its income. So, yeah, I mean, that there's, Bolt Farm Treehouse, Onera, and in the Austin area, like these properties like that, they absolutely crush. And, the new hotel is 130 units, a little bit different, but operates the same. The same fundamentals make that all come together. So it's all about the experience you provide, which drives up the income, adds to the NOI and creates that value for you. So there's so much opportunity in this space and so many different markets that it works in too. I mean, super excited about it, man. Boutique hotels are going to be, I think, going to be a big trend over the next year for sure.
Yeah, I think boutique hotels, or what Isaac did, I would call it like I'd call it like a landscape hotel, would
Yeah.
maybe be how I bucket that. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
kind of group it all together. Like, when I say boutique hotels, I kind of just reference that asset class as a whole, like cabin communities, tiny home communities, glamping, hotels, motel conversions, like landscape hotels, like all these things kind of fit into this commercial short-term rental bucket, or boutique hotels, kind of whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I mean, when you're able to rent by the night, drive up this crazy income, and then your value based on a percentage of your or based on your value based on your income, I mean, you're creating crazy value.
yeah, and that's and frankly, as someone who's done houses that do very well, and I predominantly look for big houses that can draw 600, 700, $1,000 a night. But when you sell them, you have to sell them based off Sally down the street,
Yeah,
and whatever she
always
sold her
limits you.
house for. So that's the downside. The residential game, sure, financing's easy. You can find a lot. If you have a W-2 or you just have 2 years income history, it's really easy to finance a residential property, which is why so many people build wealth through it. And I also think that is why so many folks start in short-term rentals that way,
Yep.
because the financing component is easy. However, you can't drive millions in, or very, very rarely, very unlikely, can you create millions of dollars of value in a couple years. So kudos for that. And then didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you mentioned, did you sell one or two, or did you exit, uh, or what's
Yeah,
the?
sold 4 of them at the beginning, about a year ago, March of 23. was kind of at the cause of me and my partner at the time splitting up. So we didn't have these crazy exits because we had just got done with renovations and we hadn't fully stabilized. So it wasn't the big paydays that either one of us thought they would be, but we still got through the, full cycle process, went trading them, see how the appraisals work and how sellers view them. And it definitely, my takeaway there was it definitely adds to the value when you have something that you're selling as a scalable business. Like we had a lot of trouble selling the 15 unit and 18 unit in Panama City Beach individually because on their own, they don't really support the staff it takes to run them. But together, the 33 units, you then have enough revenue, which really is like the thing you should look for is the amount of revenue, not the amount of units, because that revenue is what you pay staff out of, what you add in the systems and scale so that you're not stuck in the business as the mom and pop operator and somebody like me comes in and buys it at a discount later.
Yeah, that's actually funny when I tell people like, yeah, it's honestly in many ways easier to manage 25 properties for me than it is to manage like 7.
Oh yeah.
And the reason for that is because of scale. I have people working around the clock. It's not just me checking my phone every 2 seconds.
Yep.
So,
Exactly.
okay, but I'm sure you got invaluable experience there and you're going to use that and carry it forward. So yeah, what can folks, A, how can they follow your journey?
Yeah.
And then B, yeah, what are you excited? I know you're obviously excited about this project you've got and about boutique hotels, but yeah, what can we expect from you, in the next year or two from now when we have you back?
Yeah. So first, the first place to follow me, get a hold of me would be Instagram. You can shoot me a message there. I respond to all my DMs. So if you got a question, I'd be happy to help, or just want to talk boutique hotels. I could talk a year off, talk all day. Big next project that is coming is Boutique Hotel Con and at the hotel and resort in Tennessee. So we're going to be hosting the event in the venue and everybody staying on site. So all inclusive ticket, get to see the hotel, see the before and after of the rooms, and see how
The pool bar going to be open.
Pool bar will be up and ready. The pavilion, yep, we'll be slinging drinks out there. It'll be great. So yeah, you get to see how a property like this actually comes to fruition, how all the pieces fit together, and get to like put, something tangible to like what you'll actually be learning during the conference itself. So really trying to structure that time into it as well. We're in the pre-planning stages right now, but if you go to boutiquehotelcon.com, you can sign up to be notified of when we do the launch and offer the ticket sales. Will be September of 24. We're doing that. So boutiquehotelcon.com. And then other than that, man, buying more hotels. We're moving to Tennessee to be closer to this one through the renovation phase because it's such a beast. And then probably starting a fund in May or June to go buy a couple more of these bad boys before the end of the year. So very bullish on the boutique hotel space. We've got, a system that works for buying them and turning them around and making them really profitable, and all those things. So just replicating what we've been doing and doing it at a bigger scale now that I'm getting out of the Air Force and have the time available to do it.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm excited. I actually do have one question now I'm thinking about. So that, and I'm kind of I'm a numbers oriented guy. How'd you finance that's a pretty substantial renovation there. I mean, that's, several $1,000,000. How did you finance? Because you can't sell or I'm assuming you didn't sell or finance the renovation.
We didn't
for
sell
that.
or finance this one.
That'd
No.
that'd be convincing. That would,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah. So this one we raised money from investors. So we brought in investors. We got a bank loan, brought in investors for the equity that we needed to close the deal, plus the renovations. So another good thing about it, right? You got to give other people passive income.
got it. Okay, gotcha. So you raised investor like debt financing through private money for.
It was equity. So we syndicated
Sure.
it. So
Okay.
it's not like
Okay, so the money that
they're
came
not holding
in,
interest rate.
yeah.
Yeah, they're in the deal. They have ownership of it, percentage of the tax benefits, the appreciation, all that stuff.
Got it. Okay, so it wasn't a note; it was direct. They came in, and okay, that makes sense. I was curious there. So guys, if you guys check out boutiquehotelcon.com, Blake, when did you say that was gonna be?
Yeah. Wait. Should we change it? Should we change it to glorified motel or
Yeah,
motel
glorified
buyers?
motel con. Hey, I'm not taking shots at
No,
anything,
I'm just
but
kidding, man. I
I mean
like it. I mean,
that's the
ours are the
art.
same
Like
way.
that's
you
that's
gotta
the art
spruce
there.
them up a little bit. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
art of
that
marketing, right? That's how you
yeah,
go
yeah.
from 150 ADR to 175. You change it from a motel to a boutique hotel.
Yeah, someone says, "Hey guys, we're gonna go to Tennessee this weekend. We're gonna stay in a motel." They go, "What? Are you
Yep.
kidding me?" Nah, they go, "We're gonna stay in a hotel and check out these pictures of all these shared amenities that are the top 5 photos on the listing." They go,
Like, dude, this is badass. Let's go. Book
yeah,
the
they're like,
trip.
I'm sold. It's in what town? Oh, I don't care. Whatever. Let's do it.
Yep.
It's less expensive, but we're getting more, for our dollar. And there's pickleball courts. Oh, I mean, honestly, the pickleball courts. I talk a lot about pickleball courts, and that's like
Yeah.
the next amenity I want to
Well, do
add to
you
my
have anything at
portfolio.
the in the Smokies?
I have Western NC, so not the Tennessee side,
Close
the North
enough.
Carolina
Close enough.
side.
I'll just say next time you're there, or you just come to the conference, and then we'll play some pickleball.
All right, we'll talk. Yeah, okay. If there's pickleball,
Yeah,
the court will be ready. All right, then maybe
it'll be ready.
I'll be
Yep.
there then. Awesome.
Love it.
Well, yeah, Blake, thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Awesome. All righty, guys, that is a wrap. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Short Term Rental Pros podcast.
See you guys.